everyone, welcome back to my channel. My name is Raine and today I am finally here to do my July wrap up. So I read 12 books in the month of July and I'm very excited to talk about them. I'm currently like sitting as I'm filming this. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I'm currently recovering from a knee injury. I'm doing okay. I'm just doing physical therapy until I can strengthen my knee back up and go back to work. But it did really just took a lot out of me mentally. I was just very upset about it happening, period. It just sucks. I have had weak knees my whole life, so it's something that I've dealt with time and time again, and it just really, it was a big bummer. So it took some time to just kind of recuperate mentally. Physically, I'm still working on that, and but you know, I'm gonna have some time to film some videos, so I'm gonna try and do that for you guys as long as I'm feeling up for it. And yeah, let's just get right into the books that I read in July. The first book I ended up finishing in July was The 57 Bus by Dasha Slater, and this is a true crime novel about an event that happened on a bus in Oakland, California, where one teen set fire to another teen's skirt, and the teen who was victimized identifies as agender, so this was blown up in the media and perceived as a hate crime. Things just kind of escalate from there, and it's very interesting in the approach that this book takes. It's very different than other true crime novels that I've read. You get to read from both sides of the story. It's very interesting. Part one, we are following Sasha, who identifies as agender, and their story kind of begins when they are first starting to question their identity, and they are first being referred to as Luke. I particularly enjoyed a chapter in this which talks about different gender identities and sexuality and romance and how those all differ, and the different terms to use, the different pronouns that should be used. I found it very informative and helpful. Part two, we are following Richard, who is a young black teen. He is the one who set fire to Sasha's skirt on the bus, and we just kind of follow him growing up in Oakland in a time where gun violence and crime are rampant, and how he is kind of just a product of his environment. Sometimes people just make horrible mistakes. I really did enjoy this. I did think the storytelling was a little off, like something about the way that it's written, like the story's being told. It's almost like it's being told at you. I don't know exactly how to explain that very well, but I ended up giving it 3 stars. I still enjoyed it very much, but yeah, there was something a little off about the storytelling, and there was some information in there that I was just like, nah, could have done without, I guess. The next book I ended up finishing was the first book I read for Fuckathon, and that was Medical Apartheid by Harriet A. Washington. I listened to this on audiobook. It's another nonfiction book about medical experiments that were done on slaves and African Americans throughout history in America, and it's really tough to read. It's very hard to get through. A lot of the information in here is so shocking and horrifying, but I think it's very important to read. It's very fascinating, eye-opening. It just very well researched. It should be required reading. There was a lot in here that I had no idea about. I learned so much. I ended up giving it 4.5 stars. Absolutely loved it, and I highly recommend it if you are at all just interested in the medical field, if you want to educate yourself some more. The next book I ended up finishing in July was the second book that I read for Fuckathon, and that was Deafo by Cece Bell. And this is a middle grade graphic novel where we're following a young girl who gets very ill at a young age, and this causes her to lose majority of her hearing. So because of this, she has to walk around wearing these hearing aids and then this big box around her neck, and she ends up just creating out of her imagination this whole new this like superhero persona, and it's just great. I love it. It's absolutely adorable. The artwork is so cute. Just everything about it is really, really cute. I highly recommend it. I absolutely loved it. It was so great. I gave it 5 stars. The next book I ended up reading in July, I also read for Fuckathon, and that was Bring on the Blessings by Beverly Jenkins. And this one I read as part of like the ageism prompt. So the main character is over the age of 50, and she finds out that her husband is cheating. She ends up getting a divorce, and after this divorce, she gets a huge cash settlement. She ends up getting like millions and millions of dollars, and she decides with the money that she's going to buy a town and create a specific neighborhood for foster children and their parents. So we're just kind of following her putting this all into action, and we're just meeting a lot of fun characters along the way. Just a really sweet story, lots of lovable characters. This town in particular has a lot of rich history, which I really, really enjoyed. And Bernadine herself is just really great. A lot of the other elderly people in the town are just awesome. Overall, it was just a really sweet story. I did give it a 3.5 stars, and I think a lot of that had to do with the fact that there really was no conflict throughout the entire book. Anytime there was a conflict that came up, Bernadine was able to throw money at it, and then it was just resolved. I just thought there would be more when it came to the foster children, but they seem to acclimate like super well. I guess this is the first in a series. I don't think I'd continue with the series, but I do think it was just a very worthy read. It was really cute. And I read it pretty fast considering how long it was. If you really want to try it out, it's really cute. It's got a little love story to it as well. You might like it. The next book I ended up finishing was Odd Spirits by S.T. Gibson. I also read this for Fuckathon, and this is like a little novella that follows like this married couple who are both witches, and it just wasn't, it was okay. I ended up giving it 2 stars. Didn't particularly fall in love with it. I feel like I would have just loved more magic. I guess it was a romance story. I didn't really think about it going in, and yeah, I guess it was just alright. I just, honestly, like, I forgot about it for the most part. I really don't even remember what happened because it was just that forgettable. The next book I finished in July was the first book that I picked up for the Horror in 24 Readathon, which was a readathon that I hosted along with Crystal, Marcy, and Carol, and it was so much fun. It was so great, and I pretty much finished all of the prompts but one, so I was really, really proud of myself because I don't always finish prompts with readathons. I mean, this one was 24 days long, but still, I'm still very proud of myself. So the first book I ended up finishing for the Horror in 24 Readathon was Home Before Dark by Riley Sager. I absolutely love this. I ended up giving it 5 stars. I will link my vlog down below for this one if you want more about it, but I just loved it. It was great. It was super fast paced. I finished it in like no time. It was super creepy, very shocking. Just, it had everything that I love about a good mystery thriller, and I just ate it up. The next book I ended up picking up was The Troop by Nick Cutter. I listened to this on audio. This is also on my vlog if you want more information about that. But I absolutely loved this one as well. I gave it 4.5 stars. It is about these young boys who are part of like a Boy Scout type troop, and they're on this island, and some type of weird contagion breaks out on this island that causes these like worms in your body that like basically eat you from the inside out. It's just, it's disgusting. Lots of body horror. Really, really gross, but it's so well written. It's just, it was phenomenal. Yeah, I was so grossed out, and like, I still think about it even now. Just great. 4.5 stars. The next book I ended up finishing, if you watch my reading vlog, you already know. This is why I'm not going to go into like a ton of detail about these, because I do talk about them in my reading vlogs. But The Between by Tananarive Due, which is a new favorite book of mine. I gave it 5 stars. Absolutely freaking loved it. This is so amazing as far as like psychological horror goes. It had everything that I love in psychological horror. It was just so memorable, so compelling, had me from the beginning all the way to the end, shocked the crap out of me, and I loved it. I loved it. It was great. Cannot wait to read more of her works. I'm like obsessed with her now. The next book I ended up picking up was The Babysitter by R.L. Stine, and this was my childhood favorite pick for the Horror in 24 readathon. I ended up just really enjoying it. I gave it 3.5 stars. It wasn't like perfect by any means, but it was very nostalgic and I had a really good time with it. The next book I finished in July was White is for Witching by Helen Oyemi. I ended up giving this 3 stars, gave it an average rating. I'm not really sure what happened in this book. I just felt really lost and really dumb after reading it. So I didn't give it an amazing rating. Even though I did very much enjoy the writing of this, I felt really, really dumb after. So I would consider rereading this book at some point because I feel like maybe I missed some stuff there. I don't know, maybe it wasn't a good choice for a readathon, but I still enjoyed it, so I'm giving it 3 stars, and I would definitely consider like picking it back up like again in the future, because there was a lot that I did very much enjoy in it, especially like towards the very end. The last 100 pages were phenomenal. Everything before that, I'm just not sure if I knew what was happening or not. Like everything just felt very unsure, very ambiguous. One day I would love to reread it and see if I feel different about it. Next book I ended up finishing was Uzumaki by Junji Ito, and I absolutely freaking loved this. It's another new favorite of mine. I'm giving it 5 stars. I was gonna give it 4.5, but I can't stop thinking about it even now, and the artwork is just so beautiful. Like I can't not give it 5 stars. Like even though the ending wasn't particularly like, it didn't wow me or anything like that, everything leading up to that was just so well done and well thought out. I can't stop thinking about spirals now, and I am incredibly grossed out by snails since reading this. Like I can't even look at snails the same because of this book, and I just feel like it had just such a visceral like it gave me such a visceral reaction that I can't not give it 5 stars. So I'm just gonna have to give this one 5 stars. I can't wait to read more of Junji Ito. So into horror manga now. Like it's just a new genre that I can't wait to explore. And the last book that I finished in July was Survivor Song by Paul Tremblay, and you guys probably already know my thoughts on this if you watched the live show. We talk about it on the Horror in 24 live show over on Crystal's channel, where we get into spoilers and all that. I don't think we talked about it for very much because I don't think a lot of us really even loved it. I gave it 2.5 stars. I don't feel like it needed to be as long as it was. I wasn't really a fan of the 2 main characters that we follow throughout the entire story. There were some really cool aspects that I liked, but it just missed the mark for me. I was expecting so much more and it just wasn't there for me, so I gave it 2.5 stars. But I'm still very excited to read more Tremblay in the future, and I was just really happy to have read and talked about this with the girls because we just had a great time. It was a lot of fun. Horror in 24 was amazing. I mean, I already gushed about it the last vlog, but I guess I should probably wrap this up. I did want to talk about Stacks of Strange, which is a new little book club that I've kind of put together with a bunch of my other booktuber friends. I'm doing this along with Crystal, Marcy, Kat, Deja, and Amy, and we're so excited. We are going to be just reading really weird books each month and then talking about them live on our channels, and it's just gonna be freaking great. I'm so excited to read these really weird books. This month we are reading Follow Me to Ground by Sue Rainsford, which I hear is really weird, and I've already started it and already it's freaking weird. So I cannot wait to talk about it with these girls. We're going to be doing the live show over on my channel. It'll be over here on Thursday the 27th at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I hope that you guys decide to join us and read this book. It's a pretty short book, so you could read it in a very short amount of time. I know that Scribd has it on ebook as well as audiobook, which the audiobook is what I'm listening to right now, and it's full cast, I believe, because it named a bunch of different narrators in the very beginning. I'm still in the very beginning of the book, but I'm assuming it's full cast and all freaking about it because I love a good full cast audiobook. Just very excited to read this book. I'm very excited to talk about it, and I just hope that you guys decide to join us. Let me know down below if you do decide to join us. Let me know down below what you guys are reading or what's going on. Update me a little bit because I've just kind of been MIA, I know, but I'm excited to be back, and I'll just keep trying to film as much as possible whenever I get some downtime, which I have a lot of downtime now, so I might be throwing out like a ton of videos at you guys. Like, I know I want to participate in Summerween, which is a readathon that is being hosted by Olivia and Gabby, so look out for a TBR video for that pretty soon. I would love to film that tomorrow and have it up for you guys before the readathon starts. I mean, that's my plan. We'll see what happens. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Bye.